Shalom. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahushai. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of GreatMillStone who rule well, and Shalom to the hopeful elect. It's John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. Okay, now this is a very famous scripture that's quoted by many Christians all over the world. And they always quote it as their saving scripture to show that they're worthy of salvation. Now I want to go over it and grab some precepts to back up to establish the point that this scripture, as people believe it to be, isn't what it is for them. Okay? So now I'm going to read it again. For God so loved the world. Okay? So now the first thing is you got to understand what love is and what is the world. Okay, because the Lord, when you deal with the Bible, he's always loved a certain portion of people. He said that he bestowed his love upon the nation of Israel, and he says that he changes not. So he never changed from that. He's never deferred. Let me correct myself. He did at one point in time actually say that he ain't dealing with the nation of Israel. He did say that, but he didn't pick up no other nation in their place. He basically brought us forth a savior to bring Israel back onto the Heavenly Father. Okay? So the love was only bestowed on Israel, man. And the word there for world, even when you go into the dictionary, the word world has many different meanings, man. As far as I know, it's got 18 different definitions. Okay? So you could have the world is in its entirety. You could have the political world, the sports world. You can have an age of a world, and that's the same thing that you find in the scriptures. What you find is in the Greek, there's 3 different words for the world. One being oikoumene, which basically means a whole world. One being cosmos, which means a government or a set government of the world, and the other one being ion, if I believe I'm saying it correct, which basically means an age. Okay, now inside this scripture, for these Christians to believe it says what they believe it says, you'd have to say oikoumene. But when you go to the Strong's Concordance, you look it up in Greek, what you find is the word cosmos, which means a government, and that government that's being spoken of is the nation of Israel. Okay, so reading on, it said, but that the world through him might be saved. Now further on, you got to ask yourself, what is salvation and who needs salvation? Okay, because when you go to Luke, the 1st chapter, it tells you that the Lord would be born to bring about salvation for the nation of Israel. Okay, to be saved from our enemies. Luke 1:67. So who's our enemies? Currently we're serving slavery underneath our enemy, who's known today as a so-called white man, who's an Edomite according to the Bible. Okay, so now I'm going to jump to this precept and show you precept upon precept, line upon line, how the modern day belief of John 3:16 isn't what people think it is. Okay, so now this is John 17:9. Okay, this is the Lord, the one the world calls Jesus, making a prayer. Okay, it says, I pray for them, I pray not for the world, but for them which thou hast given me, for they are dying. Okay, so he said you don't pray for the world. Now you read that scripture as the Bible commands you to read it line upon line, here a little, there a little. That would make a contradiction in the Bible if the whole world was meant to be saved in John 3:16. But in the case of John 17:9, he's saying he's praying not for the world. Okay, so now we're going to get some understanding through this scripture here. This is Hebrews 1:1. Okay, God, the Most High, who at sundry times, sundry meaning various times, and in diverse manners spake in time past unto the fathers by the prophets. Okay, so that's very specific there. It tells you who are the fathers. The fathers are the men of Israel, right? And he said he spoke to them by the prophets who also were children of Israel. Having these days these last days were showing you that Paul knew in that time that was in the last days then, and what's on more now 2,000 years later. We're in the last days still in this day and age. But we're right at the breaking point, okay? Having these last days spoken unto us by his Son, whom he hath appointed heir of all things, by whom also he made the worlds. And that's world with plural, with an S at the end, meaning worlds. So he made all these different worlds. Like we take, for example, we're in a park right now. If you were to dig up this earth, what you'd find is an ant farm. Their living habitation. And that's a world within itself. They have an operation within that world. And then when you go, you deal with, there's some people filming down the road. And you deal with that, they'll fit, what are they dealing with? The film world, okay? They're dealing with, they're in the film world, right? And the same with different governing societies, they have their own worlds. Different countries, different people, the rock world. Esau has his own world, as the apostle said this week just gone. So they had their own gods, in fact. They said they had their own God, and they had their own government, their own world, all right? So that shows you there's more than one world, all right? So I want to finish up on this scripture here to definitively show you who the world is talking about. Now this is Isaiah 45:17. But Israel shall be saved in the Lord with an everlasting salvation. Ye shall not be ashamed nor confounded, world without end. So blatantly there it says, ye shall not be ashamed nor confounded, world being the world of Israel without end. So when's the world without end going to be established? As it tells you in 2nd Ezra, the 6th chapter, it tells you Esau is the end of the world, who Esau today is known as a so-called white man. He's the end of the world, but then Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So the world that's going to go on forever, the world without end, everlasting life, is talking about Israel, okay? So with that, man, I pray you're edified. Say shalom.